Welcome to Human OS Mind Your Health Rewired, the show that unpacks the hidden systems driving your symptoms and empowers you to heal from the inside out. I'm your host, Dr. Connie Chung, and after decades of inside the healthcare system and outside of it as a patient, I've learned this, that health isn't something you chase, it's something you remember. And if you're ready to rewire your body, reclaim your power, and rise above the outdated health norms, you're in the right place. Let's get right to it.
Hey everyone, after a long hiatus or sabbatical, if you would call it, I decided to rebrand. I had lots of epiphany, and going forward, I'm going to be presenting and sharing with you a lot of not so much theoretical knowledge-based things, but the things that no practitioner, experts, doctors even talk about. So my new podcast is now Human OS, that stands for operating system, like Human OS, like Apple operating system, Android operating system. It's all about the bigger picture of who you are and how you are wired so that we can decode, rewire, and rise. And that's what this is all about. It's your Mind Your Health Rewired. So with that new brand, you'll check out my logo. The logo, the S in the middle signifies the yin and yang symbol, where there's duality of life, that we have to experience one extreme over the other. In order for us to experience happiness, we have to experience deep despair and sadness. And in order for us to experience success, we need to experience failure. That one is absolutely necessary to experience the opposite. Okay. So with that being said, again, I'm Dr. Connie Chung, new and improved, really raw and authentic, speaking from my soul, my heart. And this today is a story of how everything in my life completely broke down. And in that state of rock bottom, how that breakdown became the birthplace of the human operating system to kind of break the ice and my sabbatical into something so much better. So let's go there when everything fell apart. So I spent over 2 decades building something I deeply believed in. Functional yoga, medicine, a bridge between science and soul. It felt like my life's work, my deep purpose. But slowly, things started to fracture. Teachers I trained began stepping away. The structure I worked so hard to build felt like it was built on sand, and then COVID hit. And just like that, the business I poured myself into began to fall apart. And then came the diagnoses. Kidney failure. I remember feeling ashamed, deeply ashamed, not just because I was sick, but because I was supposed to be the expert, the one who was supposed to be the epitome of what I stood for, the one who helps people heal, the one who had all the answers. And suddenly, I didn't. In fact, I didn't even know who I was. The fear fueled response. And out of that shame, I panicked. I started efforting, overworking, overthinking, overdoing. That's my normal operandi. That's the way I operate, okay? And frantically trying to regain control in a situation where I had none. It was all fear. It was the worst thing I ever experienced. I didn't know it at the time, but I was clinging to what was instead of facing what is, gripping onto the identity of the strong one, the leader, the healer. Because if I let that fall away, who would I even be? But I didn't realize all those identities were made up, some versions of me that were not truly me. And that efforting became a trauma loop. I wasn't leading from wisdom. I was reacting from fear. And when you make choices rooted in fear, they're rarely wise ones. So in the system you trust abandons you. So I received a kidney transplant 2023, the day before my birthday. But the transplant quickly failed. The kidney was removed and I was placed back on dialysis and, of course, back on the list for kidney transplantation. And here's the part that truly broke me. The medical system that once gave me hope became eerily silent as I was going through this breakdown and failure of the transplant. I had to fight, had to advocate for myself, for the basics. Left to them, I'm not so sure I would be here. I had to admit myself back in the hospital. I was already failed kidney state, which can really be toxic, making you super sick, and I was really sick. The doctors refused to do anything about it because they didn't want that flaw or failure to be on their record, is my guess. And the follow-ups, the truth, the transparency, they didn't even provide that. And the system gave me none of that. But I also realized it wasn't personal, it was structural. They were more afraid of being liable than they were committed to helping me heal. And that's when I truly saw the system isn't designed for healing, it was designed for avoidance. And then my personal pain. You'd think that during this time like this, you'd be held by your closest people, your family, friends, and loved ones. But many avoided me. In fact, they turned away. Not because they didn't care, but because they couldn't. They too were afraid. They didn't know how to be with my pain, my truth, and my vulnerability. And instead of facing it with me, they disappeared, or judged, or minimized at the time when I needed them the most. At the time, it felt like betrayal, but over time, I saw something deeper. We all deal with fear differently. Some fight, some freeze, some flee. It's all a survival mechanism. I don't fault them for that. And I realized they were doing what they know how to do. And I had a choice in how I responded to that. So the most important thing and the takeaway that I want you to know is that the grief and the despair, it had to be felt. Still, I collapsed. Not physically, but emotionally. I was a basket case. I was devastated, exhausted, depleted. I mourned not just the loss of my health, but the version of me I could no longer be. Adjusting to a new body, a new pace, a new reality. It was too much to bear until I finally let myself feel it all. And I stopped fighting the pain and started feeling it. And that's when things began to shift. I allowed myself time to metabolize every emotion, the anger, the grief, the hopelessness, the fear, all alone. Even though I had people who loved me right by my side, there were some things I could not share because I knew it was too much for them to bear. And I stayed in the despair longer than I cared to admit. But it was necessary for me because the only way out was through. And that's what made me cultivate my courage and rebuild my own identity. And today I am in front of you feeling very confident in who I am with kidney failure. And I sort of feel like it built character in me and it held me to my highest standard and it held me up. And I was able to hold to my highest values for how I want to live my life, all from a place of proactiveness. So we all avoid fear because of the feelings it brings. And the worst thing that can happen to us is to feel the feeling. But those feelings are exactly what needed to be digested for us to heal. And I realized I never gave myself time and space to feel what I felt so that it can be metabolized within my body. So I had a choice. There was a fork in the road. Either I can be a victim to this condition or choose to rise. Eventually, the fog lifted, not because the circumstances changed, but because I did. I chose simply to rise. I got sick and tired of being in pain. not in spite of the pain, but I went right through it to the other side. And that's when Human Operating System, short for Human OS, was born. I am so fired up about this brand versus before, as functional yoga medicine, it was really hard for me to get excited. Something just didn't feel aligned. And when things broke down in the last 3 months to where that cycle of complete destruction of my business and betrayal of some people that I trusted, through it all, I realized this operating system is no longer going to work for me. And so it was an internal shift. And that shift didn't happen from my achievements, but from my integration. It was never about adding more. It was more about me removing the noise, disrupting the default system, and rewiring the way I lived. I had to change my operating system, much like how Apple upgrades their operating system from time to time. I needed a new operating system to rise, to handle what I'm going through today. And that meant I had to let go of some things, some aspects about myself, especially the attachments that I had with what should be, and stop with those expectations and fully allow space and time for things to evolve. And Human OS became my way of rewriting my inner code so that no matter what life throws at me, I can respond, not react. Always have a choice, not be reactive, and grounded, whole, and have sovereignty. So why am I sharing this? Well, I'm not sharing this to be inspirational. In fact, there are days when I'm nothing to be inspired for. I'm sharing this because you've been there too. Maybe not with the kidney failure or dialysis, but with life not going as planned, not going your way, everything feeling like it's falling apart. With the betrayal, the burnout, the grief, and the fear, and with the unbearable weight of what now? So Human OS is for that moment. The one where you say, enough. I don't want to feel like this anymore. It's for those of us who are done surviving and ready to reclaim ourselves. So simple, right? We have to decode our ways of being, and then we have to rewire ourselves for the future self that you want to be. And then we then rise to that fulfillment. And it's as simple as that. All of us make it so much harder. So I want to say this first episode since I've been back will explore what it means to live in alignment with your inner system in harmony, because then we are inherently wired to be the healthiest versions of ourselves. You are supposed to be healthy. And if you don't feel healthy and good, then that means some type of an imbalance exists within. And we're here to heal, to rewire, and to rise. Because you can't fix your life with the same operating system that created the burnout. Just like there is a saying, we can't fix the problem in the same state that created the problem. So we're just going to have to upgrade. Left without this option, you're just going to degrade and be the victim of your circumstance. And most of the people, frankly, live in that state. You have to reset the human operating system, your human operating system. Yes, functional yoga medicine is good. It's accumulation of physical therapy, psychology, nutrition, functional medicine, and yoga. And I'm a great practitioner at each one of them. But that's not what I'm here to represent. I'm here utilizing those modalities to really focus on your human potential, working with your human operating system. That's the whole of you. We start with you. We fit the yoga for you, not try to fit you into the yoga. And that's frankly how we're all living our lives. There's so much influencers that we get so much information with the chat GPT. In this modern world, we need a better operating system. one which no expert, nobody talks about. It's all about do more, meditate more, do more yoga, do this yoga, that yoga, do this Pilates, do that Pilates. Try this supplement, this medication or that. See this practitioner or that practitioner, peptides, hydration. There's more and more options. But why is it that we've become such a sick world? Increase in burnout, increase and immune dysregulation along with hormonal dysregulation. There's a lot of people living in a substandard state just because they don't know how to pull themselves out of it. And the answer is in the human operating system. We stop looking for things outside. We build ourselves from the inside out so that we can decode, rewire, and rise. If this speaks to you, stay with me. We're just getting started. Please subscribe. I'm going to share a lot of heartful things, no BS, straight to the point. I have so much juicy stuff to share with you that's going to shift the way you think. And if you stay with me, utilize the modalities that I have to share, now you're going to be in full control, living in this modern world, but preserving your humanity. And all the feels, all the thoughts, you become complete master of you. So if that resonates with you, I hope you subscribe, leave a review, leave comments. You can find me on YouTube at Dr. Connie Chang. Instagram is my platform of choice, and I utilize it to be reaching out to you guys and to build a community around this message. So again, Dr. Connie, I will see you guys all next week. We're back, and we're going to be back so much better. It's your Mind Your Health podcast, Rewired, because I am completely different. I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching me up until now, and look forward to many more very, very profound and resonant episodes that you can get behind. Okay, I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Human OS Mind Your Health Rewired. If something you heard today sparked a shift, share it with someone you love, or tag me at Dr. Connie Chung so we can spread this mission together. To explore programs, trainings, or resources to support your healing, visit hossystems.com. And remember, you're not broken. You're brilliantly wired for healing. You just need the right operating system. Until next time, keep